order to make your plarn, what you're gonna first do is flatten out your plastic bag. And usually on these produce bags, there's like a little butt at the end, so you are going to cut that off. And now you have, it's pretty crazy, but that's okay. We'll fix that. And you want to fold it where the edges that are not open are the ones you're folding. So the open edges are on the sides this way. So you're just going to fold, try to keep it flat. Perfect. And then, so now that it's all flat, you can kind of see the edge that's kind of messed up and is like layered. So we're just going to cut that off. And now we have a cleaner edge. So now you're going to measure really whatever size you want. It just depends on the yarn thickness. So if you want a thicker yarn, you could do like an inch, inch and a half. I'm going to do a smaller yarn. So I'm going to do like 1/2 inch. Yeah, let's do 1/2 inch about. So if you want to make markings, you totally can. Just take like a marker, Sharpie, whatever works for you, and just make a little line all the way across. But I'm just gonna eyeball it. So I'm gonna take my bag and my scissors. I'm gonna try to keep it as like straight and compact as I can, but it wavers sometimes, so no worries. But what I'm gonna do is just cut right along and pop it down. And so when you unfold, you are left with this kind of strip. And it like creates a little circle like that. And then I'll show you how to weave all of the strips together. So you're gonna keep cutting so you get as many strips as you want. Usually this type of plastic, when it tightens up, it gets really tiny. So we're actually gonna make these a bit thicker because they're gonna shrink and compact. So I'm gonna actually go like right about there. Say, let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that feels a bit better. You don't want to pull too much because it's, you know, flimsy plastic. So, but just a little tug. And we're just gonna do that all the way down. We're gonna unfold one of them, and we're left with like this circle, oval thing. So we're gonna unravel another. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically tie these together. So what you're gonna do is take your first plastic, put your hand through it, grab the other piece, and pull it through like halfway. Now what you're gonna do is this hand is gonna grab the piece of plastic that's over here and pull it through. So it creates this kind of like loop. And then you just pull and it creates a tiny little knot. So I'll show you that a few more times. It is kind of confusing at first, but once you get it, it goes really fast. So hand through, grab the other side, and pull. Hand through, grab the other side, and pull. And so once you've done like a lot, you'll basically just have this long string that you can use as yarn. So this is not only for produce bags. You can use any plastic bag you have. Sometimes, you know, you go to a grocery store and they only have plastic bags, so use that. Or, and this is a PSA to my Professor Kelly, hold on now. This bag was, my sister and I I think like 8-ish years ago, my sister and I purchased a bunch of things from Shein. I'm sorry. And I've kept the bag since because I was like, we could do something with this. And here's what I'm doing with it. So basically the same exact principle, except there's not really that bunchy part at the end. It's just like two closed ends instead. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna fold it. You're gonna cut off the end piece, recycle that, and then you're gonna go to the bottom here too. Flip it over, and this you could just cut like a little bit and it'll be good. So now you have your bag. It is open on both sides now. So now you're gonna do the same exact thing where you fold on the closed side. And this material is a bit thicker, so it's gonna be a little bit harder to cut through, but it'll still work good. So I'm gonna fix up the end a bit. And since this material has a bit less, like when these go, they get really, really tiny. This tends to stays the width that it is. So I'm going to cut it like right about there-ish. And remember, this is for the project I want to make, which calls for a thinner yarn. Whatever project you want to make, you can totally adjust the size of your cuts to change that. So we get to the end of the bag. We have our pieces, and we do the same exact thing. Unravel, grab your other piece, pull it through. And you just keep doing that. And next I will show you how to actually crochet with the plarn, and some little tips and tricks I've learned from using this for a while. So once you have a good amount of yarn, you're gonna take your crochet hook, and this is not really gonna be a crocheting tutorial. I will show the things, but if you need like more in-depth tutorials on like what a chain is, how to single crochet, just go to YouTube, and there will be a bunch of videos that will be a lot more helpful than this. So what you're gonna do is take your plarn. So you're gonna make a slip knot. To do that, you're gonna cross over, make a little X, and then grab the working yarn. So I'll show that again. Cross over, grab your working yarn. And then you're just gonna pull through. And you don't wanna make a really big one. Normally when I crochet with normal yarn, I do a pretty big one and then tighten it on the hook. But when working with plarn, it's very hard to like pull through sometimes. So you want to do like a lot smaller of a starting loop if you can. So I'm actually going to see like when it goes through, it doesn't really go through. So we're going to start again and make a tinier one. We're going to pull through, and we're going to put it on the hook and then tighten it. Perfect. And that's how you get your yarn on the hook. So the project I'm going to show you guys is the produce bag, but this yarn is totally interchangeable. You can make whatever you want. But to start the produce bag, what you're going to do is, normally I would start with a magic circle and then work my way through. So I'll show you like with normal yarn, I would make a magic circle and pull through. But because plarn is so difficult to pull through, we're just gonna do a chain and slip stitch. So we're gonna do 4 chains, 4, and then slip stitch into the first one. And then pull through again. So now we have our little circle. So I realized I didn't really show you how to chain, but to do that you wrap around and pull through. So now we're gonna do 8 single crochet in this big loop right here. So a single crochet is you go in the hole, you wrap your yarn around, pull through 1, wrap your yarn around again, pull through both of these. So that's a single. We're gonna do that 7 more times. So go in the hole, wrap around, pull through 1, wrap around, pull through 2. Go in, wrap around, pull through 1, wrap around, pull through 2. So that's 3. I'm gonna go up to 8. One thing I'll say with working with plarn is you definitely have to use a lot more pressure and like tightness than you would think. Obviously you don't want to rip the yarn, but it is kind of, you want to, because if you have a loose hold, it'll kind of be harder to like grab and wrap around. So you do want to kind of keep it tight, and then it does take a bit more effort to pull through because there's a bit more friction. But so I've done my 8. So now I have this cute little circle right here. And we're back at my first stitch. For this project, I would really recommend using a stitch marker. I don't own one, so I'm just gonna use some scrap yarn that I have. And we're just gonna mark the last stitch we left our round off in. So we're gonna go through and pull the yarn through. I'm always really bad at this part, but you just pull through. And then that's how we know where we are in our project. So now we are going to put we're gonna put increases in every stitch. So that's 2 single crochets in every single crochet that's there right now. So I never really know where to start. So I'm gonna count back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, the plarn is kind of hard to see, but we're just gonna kind of go for it. I'm gonna put 2 in here. 1, 2, and then move over to the next stitch, put 2, 1, 2, and do that all the way around, and you should be left with 16 stitches. I will have the pattern that I've used. It's a free pattern in the link below, so please feel free to look back at that as many times as you need. But yes, gonna keep going. But so we're gonna go into the stitch marker hole and do the last 2. Perfect. We can take the stitch marker out. Just to be sure, I'm gonna double check that we have 16. And to do that, it's hard to see because this is white plarn, but you can see little V's, and then that is 1 stitch. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4,
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14,
15, 16. So we have our 16 stitches. So now we are going to move on to our 3rd row. We're gonna use our stitch marker again. So the 3rd row is where we kind of switch it up a bit. We're going to chain 2, which is a chain is the wraparound, pull through. Wrap around, pull through. So we have 2 chains right here. And then we're going to skip 1 stitch and go into the next one with a single crochet. That's our wraparound, pull through 1, pull through 2. So we're gonna have like a little hole right here. You do that again all the way around till you hit your stitch marker. So chain 2, skip the first stitch, go into the second, and single crochet. Chain 2, skip the first stitch, go into the second. Another thing with working with plarn is sometimes these get stuck on your yarn, like if they're a bit too big, but you could just give them a really tiny, gentle tug, and typically that will kind of help it. I would really only recommend using plarn if you have at least some experience crocheting. I don't recommend learning how to crochet with this material because it is very different from actual yarn. It's a lot harder to work with. Okay, so I've just taken my stitch marker out and now I'm going to go into the last one. So you should be ending on a single crochet, not a chain 2. Okay, so now we have that row. We're gonna put our stitch marker in the hole that is created from the chain 2. So that's gonna go in here. Perfect. Okay, and now we're gonna repeat, except instead of chaining 2, we are now going to chain 4. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. Chains are shockingly really hard with plarn. So this may not be the project to start with, but it's a good one. So chain 4, and then we're gonna, when we did the first round, we created these holes with all the chains. So now we're gonna go into those holes. So with our single crochets. So we did our chain 4, we go into this big hole, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, and now we created an even bigger hole, and we're gonna repeat that. Okay, and we are at the end of our row. Let's add our stitch marker again, right in the hole we just left off. Perfect. It's kind of, eventually the holes are gonna get like really big where this really is not gonna do much, but what you could do is just recount the last like chains because we're gonna keep increasing. So we just did 4, so now we're going to do 6. So chain 6. Move that out the way. And go in the big hole with our single. But so you kind of get the pattern. You basically just increase by 2 chains until you get to a certain point, and then you just keep that chain amount going until you finish your bag. So I'm gonna do this 6 and then I'll come back. Okay, so I've just finished my chain 6 row. So now I'm going to do a chain 8. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we go into the big hole right here. And then we repeat that all the way around. Sometimes if you accidentally split the yarn like a way ago, it'll kind of get jumbled up like this, but don't worry, you literally can just kind of like compress it all together and then pretend it's just one. It'll be a bit thicker and harder to work with, but you could totally do it. And then once like this kind of gets not really long enough to grab, you can always just like go through the loop and just pretend it's your working yarn. So I've just finished round 6 with the chain 8s all the way around. For round 7, I'm gonna do the exact same thing I just did. So we're doing another round of chain 8 all the way around, and we'll meet back here. So I just finished the chain 8 row again, and basically now that I have, this is the bottom of the bag, and now we're just going to build up. So I'm gonna repeat the chain 8 all the way until it's a length I want. So I will be back after that. Okay, now that I have built my bag up to the length I want, I'm going to work on the next part. When you're building your bag, remember that this will stretch a lot when there's actual weight or produce in the bag. So even if it feels a bit short, it will stretch when there's something in it. So now we're gonna move on to the edging. So what we're gonna do is, I didn't fully finish the row. I still have to do a single crochet into here. So I'm going to do that. And now I'm going to chain 3 from this point. 3, okay. Now we're gonna work with double crochets, which is a stitch we haven't used yet, but it's very simple. We're gonna do 2 double crochets into the same big hole right here. So a double crochet is when you yarn over, go in the hole, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So it's a variation of the single crochet. I'll show you again. Wrap around, go in, pull through, wrap around, pull through 2, wrap around, pull through 2. Perfect. So this is our little start. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna skip over to the next hole, and we're gonna work 6 double crochets into this big hole here. So again, that's wrap around, go in, pull through, wrap around, pull through 2, wrap around, pull through 2. We're gonna do that 5 more times.
1,
5. Okay, so now we should have 6 total in this section. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. So now we're gonna move on to the next hole, and we're gonna do 6 in here as well. And we're basically just gonna do 6 double crochets in every single hole around until we get back to our start right here. Okay, so now that we have finished the body of the bag, we're now gonna work on the strap that will tie it together to make a drawstring. So this part's really easy. All we're gonna do is take some of our yarn. We're gonna make start it the same exact way that. Okay. So now that we finished the body of the bag, we are now gonna work on the strap that will make it a drawstring. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take some of our yarn, and we're gonna start it the exact same way we started the project. We make a slip knot, put it on our hook, and we're just gonna chain until we get a good length. And for this, a good length would be going across this length twice, because it needs to go around the whole inside of the bag. So we're just gonna chain, and if you remember, chaining is very simple. It's just a wrap around and a pull through. Wrap around, pull through. And we're just gonna do that till we get a good length. So I finished my strap, I chained about 65, and then I just cut off the ends, tied little knots, and now we are going to weave it through our bag. So to do that, we're gonna go into each of the large holes that were created in the 6 double crochet sections. So you can pick any one, but start with it going this way, out through. So we go through one hole, go over to the next large one, and then you're weaving like this. So you're gonna go into out, pull it through, and the other way, and then right here is where we like started the row. So this is like where the 3 chains were. So you don't go in this one, but you go in this one. Okay, so now we are back to where we started. We're gonna go through one last time, and you want both of the strings on the same side. Because now what you're gonna do is just tie a quick little knot. And this will kind of just stop it from coming undone. Perfect. So now that that is secure, if you like pull it open to tighten it, your bag will be open, and then if you grab the knot and pull it, your drawstring will come through. This is your final product. You have a nice drawstring bag that you can now put any produce or anything you want in it.